Hello, welcome to Actions to Wealth UK. This is Ash Bull. I'm going to be taking you through my weekly analysis. It is Monday, April the 10th, and it will be the final one of the month potentially, because we are in Singapore and then Bali for the next 2 weeks, starting on Wednesday next week. So we'll see if we can get one out, but it's possible that it might be a written one next Sunday rather than a video, just to make things a bit easier. So last week we had news out that Donald Trump decided to send troops in to bomb an airbase in Syria after a chemical weapons attack by the Assad regime, possibly led by Russia, on his own people. Now, there's been international support for Donald Trump, along with some condemnation as well. It's not really for us to judge, or certainly not for me to judge whether what he did was right or wrong, but just what the market did and how it reacted. And you can see there was a bit of a sell-off in gold, and you can see when it happened as well. On the Friday, we were getting quite near. Well, we were beyond these levels here, but we were at the highs, and then we started to sell off after that news broke. Now, there is generally a flight to safety after an event like this, but on this occasion, if we compare gold to the FTSE 100, this was the FTSE 100's day. This was Friday, so there was some confidence coming back into the market, and that subsequently showed itself in some weakness in gold. So I'm going to be looking for dollar strength this week. Now, given that, the other one that's interesting against the dollar. Now, just briefly, what I'd want to see on this gold trade is for us to come and touch under these levels, possibly form what looks like a left shoulder, kind of a tower top, which could become like a head tower top, because we see the push up and some 2-3 bars in here, and then an equal push down. That is a very bearish looking bar. So either through that level, this area here becoming head, left shoulder, right shoulder, so to become a distribution pattern like that, and then poke itself through. Maybe pick it up on the right shoulder, maybe pick it up as we come and break this level if it's to move to the downside. Now, given that, dollar yen is also of interest. We've seen the dollar just start to push forward against some of these other markets and these other currency pairs, but the yen has been fairly strong against the dollar. We are just about through this level, but this inverted hammer isn't so strong. This is a 4-hour chart, so we'd really want to see just a bit of bubbling along around here, possibly a little dip down into this area, and then see what it looks like to see whether there's a potential for picking this one up for some upside. Looking on the weekly chart, it does seem like we are at an area of support, as we've got this falling wedge pattern here. Now, this falling wedge does suggest that if we are to push through and break this line, then it could be a fairly decent run to the upside. So I want to try and pick this one up on the lower end of the falling wedge, play it to the top line, take profit if we get up there, and then leave a little bit on the table to see how much we can squeeze out of this particular measured move. Maybe get back to the highs. It just depends on where and when that breaks out. If it's to break down a little bit later in the picture here, then it could be that we're looking at the highs later in the year. But certainly for this week, I'll be looking for just a push to the upside here. Now, the other one I really like for the dollar is this dollar Sing. Dollar Sing, we've managed to start to just unwind a little bit from this move to the upside. This isn't an uptrend on the intermediate chart, and we've just seen this start to unwind a little bit. There is a channel here. So this channel that we are also at the lower end of, I'd like to see if we can get to the upper end and then see if we can get through that. Again, taking most of the profit if we can get to touch this line, and then just seeing if we can leave just a little bit on and let the rest run. So again, inverted hammer. Sorry, there's a hammer down here. Looks like a doji spinning top as well. So that's a pretty bullish signal, pretty bullish looking signal. May have missed the trade already, but any move back to the downside, I'm going to be looking to try and trade that and see if we can get somewhere along this lower line here, which could coincide with some sort of move just there. And if we were to put up a fib on that as well, that is pretty good for a 23.6% retracement. So somewhere along that level Possibly a dip into the 38.2% would be even better, as long as we don't break these lows. Breaking them's fine actually, but as long as we don't close below these lows. If that was coinciding along with this trend line, that's going to look like a really attractive trade to the upside. Finally, I just want to quickly touch on this Euro Aussie, which I'm also I'm looking for downside Euro Aussie. The Euro has got some pretty big. It's got a big lot of big news this week. We've got the French elections very, very close now. This area of resistance managed to hold out, possibly even from that point there, which would give us multiple touches along that line. This area of resistance held out a couple of weeks ago. So again, looking for some downside from this particular point here. Could push a little bit higher first. Definitely looks like a distribution pattern here. Head and shoulders starting to form. This inverted hammer suggests some downside early on in the week here. So just looking to see whether on the 4-hour chart we can get a break of this particular level here, which we're right on top of. And the market's just opened, and it looks like we are just getting just a little bit of price action there. So let's see what happens here. We need a break, a hole down here on the back test. We'll see if we can start to pick that one up on the right shoulder, play it down to the neckline, again taking the majority of the trade off the table, and then seeing if there's anything left to play to the downside from there. So quickly, let's touch on the news and data for the week. And what we have. Fed Chair Yellen speaking at 9:10, so just 10 minutes after the US closed down. So I want to see what happens with the dollar early doors next week. Remember, we're looking at gold, the yen, and the Singaporean dollar against the US dollar, and that will potentially move most likely sometime around the end of the day tomorrow. This is UK time. CPI year on year from the pound forecast at 2.2. The previous was 2.3%. So that's a very important number. That's inflationary data. And if we, for some reason, they're looking for a dip, but if we start to see that grow even stronger and really start to hop forward, when we look at this graph, we can see there's been a pretty aggressive move in this CPI. So given that trajectory, it would suggest the next hop would be higher. And if that was the case, we would very like to see the pound strengthen off the back of that, because Mark Carney will have to do something to get that inflation under control. However, he says that, or certainly indicated that he won't be doing anything until the average earnings start to hop forward as well. So he wants to see some inflation in the earnings just to make sure people can handle the interest rate hike. So if that number, which could be more important this week, starts to boost forward, then we might start to see some action from the Bank of England. The next move will be to 0.5. If it's not lower, the next high move will be to 0.5%, which shouldn't be too difficult or dangerous for people. So I would suspect that just a small move from 0.25% to 0.5% shouldn't be too far away. And then we've got the rate statement from Canada. Obviously, that's going to be big. And then we get the press conference. So potentially some moves in the Canadian dollar this week. Unemployment change and employment change from Australia might help that euro trade out. Manufacturing sales month over month. The unemployment change from the States. And then we get some CPI month over month from the United States. So that may end up being quite significant along with the retail sales. So that's how the week will potentially be shaped, and we will see what happens. It looks like that Euro Aussie's just starting to move back to the upside again, so plenty of time to get into some of these. Looking for some Euro weakness, dollar strength. Thanks very much for listening. Have a great week. Trade vigilantly, trade professionally, and be profitable. Hopefully see you in Singapore.